Well, hello again. Today we're going to talk about a 500 volt string. And the reason we're going 500 volts is because this is the spec on the Blue Sun inverter. So we always take our spec book or our installation book, and if you go into your inverter specifications, here it has a MPPT range, and that's the range of how we design our solar panels, MPPT. So their range is 120 volts to 500 volts, and that gives us a higher voltage string. That's the specs. Now the amperage is another thing to look at. It's 12 amps. I didn't show it here, but it's a 12 amp circuit. So that's the spec, 12 amps. And it's also good to look at that, because we don't want to exceed specs when we're choosing a solar panel. So I don't need that anymore. So now, this is the same as doing batteries. If you looked at some of our other videos, a series string, you just take your plus to minus, and so on and so forth. And this is an example of a solar panel right here. They have two ends on them. They're both a little different. One's male, one's female, they call it, I guess. So you can plug it into each other. It'll short circuit the panel, but it has a fuse to protect it. So these are designed to plug negative into positive, negative into positive. They're already designed like that. You don't have to supply any extra wiring. You just plug these things in. And of course, you notice I have a breaker. Never ever plug these things in or work on a circuit with that breaker closed. That means with it working on an inverter, or else you could get a shock. So you always want your breaker open. You want your circuit off. Okay? So all we do is hook these in series, but the first thing we have to find out is what our volts are. And the volts on the panels, they're all a little bit different. So if I were to look on this panel and the label on the back, it shows the voltage. And the voltage is 40 volts, and the maximum is 47.8. So we'll take the maximum volts, and if we were to times that by 10 panels, we would have 478 volts, which would be within that spec. So let's say we were just doing one string on this inverter, and by the way, you can do 4, and if you do 4 strings, you've got to be a little bit more careful that you don't max out your 12 kilowatts. So in this case, we're just doing one string, and we want to make it as simple as possible, max out as many volts as we can. So we're going to go with 10 panels, 10 of these, 478 volts, so we're within spec. And the amps on this, it says, is 9.5, and the maximum is 10. So we'll go at 10, so it's a 10 amp circuit. And I'm just going to walk over here, grab my wire. These are the wires I use. I buy these wires from our wholesaler. And if I look at this wire, it's CSA approved as 10 AWG, which will carry that. It'll carry 30 amps, but it'll very well carry the 10 amps. And this is rated for 1000/2000 volts, minus 40 Celsius, direct burial. So this can be buried right in the ground. This is expensive cable. It retails for $10 a meter. Our cost is like $7 a meter. But it's solid cable, and we're going to make sure that we tie wrap it so that it's not banging in the wind on some piece of metal here when we run it back. So this is the only piece of cable we have to run back. I use a red piece. I use a black piece to run my other, and that builds your string. The amperage stays the same all the way through. It's just you add your voltage up. Okay, well that's it. Thank you very much.